Hello, I'm Seth Clevenger, Managing Editor of Features and Multimedia at Transport Topics. Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of TT's Executive Webinar Series. During today's program, we're going to explore how digitization and connectivity are reshaping fleet management. Modern commercial trucks are equipped with an array of connected vehicle technologies that generate massive amounts of data and provide greater visibility than ever before. But all too often, business practices have not adapted to take full advantage of these capabilities. For the next half hour, we're going to discuss how fleets can stay ahead of these changes while improving security and productivity in their operations. To learn more about this topic, I'm very excited to bring in Lawrence Bader, an industry consultant and retired UPS Global Fleet Systems Director, and Bob Gottschalk, Technical Sales Manager at Erdetto, our program sponsor. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So before we get into this discussion, I'd like to just begin with some introductions here. I'd like you both to briefly tell us, our viewers, a little bit about your industry background. And Lawrence, I'd love you to lead us off here.
Sure. Thank you, Seth. So I recently retired from UPS after 32 years, where I was responsible for what we call global fleet systems. I come from a technology background, kind of IT, where I was responsible for all the technology that was either placed on or around a vehicle. It was required to operate and maintain roughly 275,000 pieces of rolling equipment. Since then, I elected to stay very active in the industry, and now I'm an independent consultant where, in essence, I'm helping fleets adopt technology, guiding the development of new technical solutions that'll work in a fleet. And at the end of the day, I'm really just working to accelerate the migration to what I call autonomous operations.
That's great. And of course, at UPS, you're right at the leading edge of so many technologies and so many different aspects of fleet management. So certainly a great vantage point to bring into this conversation as well. Bob, I'd love to turn to you next. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, along with a quick introduction to Erdetto for any viewers who might not be familiar with the company?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Seth. So Erdetto is a cybersecurity company. Actually, we've been focused. We're over 50 years old. We've been focused for most of that time in securing video content and video game content. About 7 or 8 years ago, we entered the smart mobility space, looking for ways that we could make connected vehicles more secure, more efficient, and so that was our journey into the mobility space. Now, where we are is a partner within Erdetto. For myself, I had about 25 years in connected vehicles, with primarily focused in the automotive space up until about 7 years ago when I joined Erdetto, when I started turning my focus towards cybersecurity and solutions for commercial fleet.
Yeah, that's helpful. And certainly cybersecurity and connected vehicle technology, we've certainly seen those trends take shape in recent years and really are changing the commercial fleet landscape in a pretty significant way. So I'd like to just start there with some perspective on this rise of connected vehicle technology that we've seen over the decades. You can really think back before my time, certainly around the time, probably about the time I was born, actually in the 80s. The introduction of satellite-based communications happened in the late 80s. We've seen this steady progression of onboard technology in the trucking industry ever since. Some of the big milestones in more recent years, of course, include the federal ELD mandate that went into effect. That's really rolled out technology throughout the trucking industry. That's kind of foundational technology that we've seen embedded now in fleet operations. Beyond that, obviously, we've seen the introduction of factory-installed telematics, remote diagnostics capabilities from the OEMs. The manufacturers are building this into their vehicles, have been for a number of years. We've also seen the proliferation of onboard cameras, right? I mean, that's something that's becoming very common, ubiquitous in our industry now. Looking ahead, you can even see how this is tracking, and in the years to come, we see a development toward software-defined vehicles. So this pathway will only continue. Lawrence, your vantage point again at UPS and over the course of many years, I'd love to hear your big picture perspective on this, right? How much has this connected vehicle technology we're talking about here improved visibility in the transportation industry? And how can fleets avoid the data overload that can sometimes come with that?
Yeah, Seth, as you said, really connected vehicles started with basically just dots on a map, basic GPS track and trace, if you will, from simply, hey, where is my asset? And it did grow into really, in some instances, full network optimization and much better asset utilization. Then, as you said, we progressed to diagnostic trouble codes, getting the insight into the real health of the vehicle. Then, of course, the ELD mandate came along, provided us more insights into what the drivers were doing. And then, of course, the advent of safety cameras has been a game changer, I think, in our industry. And now we're moving into deeper, I think, what I would call physics-based AI telematics. And now we're really primed to really take the advantages of true automation. But the key to that is you do have to have trusted, qualified data. That does set the foundation for automation to really take place. And the real challenge isn't collecting the data; it's data overload. Value comes from curated data that produces actionable insights. Insights where I can actually take action upon, not just be slammed with loads and loads of data. So, from my perspective, from my history, and a lot of the fleets I work with, my counsel really is to start simple and basic. Prove the value, build some confidence, and then you can mature into more complex solutions, complex data algorithms where at the end of the day, you want to get to fully data-driven operations. So bottom line, just take a stepwise approach. It leads to acceptable solutions that will actually work, and then you can get to what I call data-driven operations.
Yeah, great perspective and a great overview there. But the way you put it, of course, I think is valuable and helpful here. Connected vehicle technologies and all the data from those technologies are only useful if companies actually use it, right? The value of this technology depends on how well companies actually integrate it into their operations and in their business processes. So, Lawrence, based on your observations, how can a lack of integration limit the benefits of these types of technologies?
Yeah, really, when you have all this data, when it's trapped inside of a vendor portal or on their dashboard, that's simply ineffective. And furthermore, when you have those automated emails that come in with alerts to the who's supposed to care, the emails get quickly ignored. We get hundreds and hundreds of them a day and delete, delete, delete. The value really comes from integrating it into your real-time operational systems and your existing workflows. As an example, a lot of folks obviously rent equipment. But if you have rented equipment not being used for 30 days, it's basically sitting on your yard, instead of looking for a canned report or for an email coming out, we want to automatically trigger a return dispatch in your TMS system. Another example is when you have like trailer PMIs that may be due in less than 30 days. Again, instead of looking at the list of what's coming up, actually go ahead and automatically route that to the trailer shop. And even if you look at just like real-time issues with serious incidents on the road, like a decreasing tire pressure, if you will, that's gone to from 100 psi down to 90 psi and 80 psi, and I can in the system see that. Then I can couple that with the fact that automatic tire inflation system has been firing for the past 30 minutes. That means I got a serious tire puncture. Let's go ahead and auto-generate a service repair ticket for the inbound technician where that piece of equipment is rolling into. Again, just getting it automated into your existing workflows. But the key is, unfortunately, you are going to have to get some of your IT departments involved to make that happen.
Yeah, for sure. There's certainly some work to integrate all these different buckets of information, siloed data sets, and usually an array of different technologies in and around the vehicle. There's a lot of pieces to connect. Bob, I'd love to bring you into this conversation as well. To what extent do you see system incompatibilities and fragmented technology holding back fleet operations today?
Yeah, I think this is a very large, broad topic that I would imagine most fleets struggle with. There are so many different technologies. Lawrence just outlined probably 5 or 6 that you could bring into your operation and gain benefit from. So there's a lot of things from single solutions, kind of standalone, to all in one. Like there are a lot of companies out there offering all in one solutions. So to a lot of this is to decrease that lift on bringing new technologies in, and how do we integrate them, how do we manage them. But that is also It has a lot of challenges around it with, you know, there's really a widely varied infrastructure across commercial fleets. Some are very sophisticated, some are very basic, some are very old, uh, some are closed, although most newer ones are open. So this is kind of, based on what Lauren says. You got to have your IT department involved to help bring these in and figure out how to connect them into your initial system or into your existing systems, uh, and really try to integrate that workflow. Uh, the last thing that I see is, I think we all kind of have walked around trade shows and seen all the offerings, and there's probably a bit of fatigue out there too. Is you know what do I select, right? What systems should I look for? Where do I get a bang for the buck? Um, you know, and how do I, what is maybe the easiest thing to do? Because you got to start somewhere. So these things are kind of, it's a mixed bag of offerings out there, and to bring these things in is can be a challenge for a lot of organizations.
Yeah, and to your point, it has to be done in a way that ties in, integrates, fits the workflows. If you're changing people's entire workflows and they have to go to a whole separate portal for a separate piece of information, it's not efficient, and chances are your people won't be using it very effectively. Um,
Yeah.
I want to also segue here to this, another topic that I think is well worth discussing, and that's security, cargo security, and fraud prevention in the transportation industry. We've seen so many stories, heard so much about strategic cargo theft lately. It's become a major concern in the transportation industry, and of course, many of those schemes involve identity fraud. Bob, I want to turn to you on this topic first. How can fleets better protect themselves and prevent theft and security breaches that unfortunately have become more common in our industry?
Yeah, this is again, it's a very large topic to deal with. But if I boil it down, I look at it two basics really. One is physical security of your drivers, your vehicles, your cargo, your trailers, and the other is cybersecurity of the systems that operate all these things. So now looking at the physical security piece of the industry, we've seen out there, for instance, a lot of fleets will have the same key for maybe all of their tractors, right? This is to help create some efficiency, right? It's easy to do. I got, you don't have to worry about sorting keys out and getting the right key to the right person. Everybody just, in effect, grabs a key out of a bucket and you can go access any vehicle, right? So you get a little bit of efficiency on being able to access, but you lose all of the accountability around that. So and then every mechanic and driver that used to work for your company has access to a key. Uh, so this creates a lot of vulnerabilities in with physical securities, uh, and I think from this also kind of dovetails into how do I secure my cargo. There are a number of smart trailer technologies out there that that can help with this. Trailer tracking, things like that. So if cargo gets stolen, at least you have an idea of where that trailer is, and you can go, maybe you can go find it, hopefully, before something bad happens. But then there's the aspect of driver security as well. So if you've got a fleet that has everything's keyed the same, now if a driver is at a rest stop or at a truck stop, taking their 8 hours or their overnight break, if those keys are out there in the wild, then that creates basically a key to somebody's apartment while they're on the road that's out there. So the handling of physical security is a real big problem, and some fleets take this very seriously. Some fleets may not think about it. Turning to cybersecurity, though, I think there has been historically, with all the connected systems, and Lawrence had detailed a number of them in the intro. There's historically been a bit of a lack of standards around cybersecurity, like how do I do this? What should I look for? There are resources out there. We've worked with NMFTA in the past. They have some great resources that are all free that you can bring into your organization, and they're always looking for support, but certainly offers a lot of guidance and resources. And this will help help you ask the right question to your suppliers for: are my networks secure? Are my ELDs secure? All those connection points that are really what we call in the cybersecurity businesses attack vectors. These are places that bad guys can get in, and you want to mitigate those. So looking for those resources and bringing those into your sourcing process when you're looking at any of these things is very important.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you put it well that it's both cybersecurity and physical security, both very important in our industry, have become more important, and digital and physical are becoming increasingly intertwined as well. And as we think about security, an analogy I really like is this idea of multiple layers of Swiss cheese kind of laying on top. I mean, yes, each layer has a hole, but if you line up enough, hopefully you make it more difficult to stop the bad actors from being able to exploit some of those potential opportunities. So great overview there.
Exactly.
And another item I wanted to touch on, of course, is more the current operating environment for fleet operators. And unfortunately, it's been a tough go the last few years. It's a really challenging freight market. Operational costs have been steadily rising. Unfortunately, at a time when freight rates have really been persistently soft. Commercial transportation has always been a thin margin business. That's not new, but it feels like there's even more pressure than ever on fleets to control costs as much as possible. Lawrence, I know UPS measures everything. How many seconds does it take a driver to do this? Probably fractions of a second. But your viewpoint on this, how can fleets better manage costs and improve efficiency, especially in a down market like the past few years?
Yeah, as we've been discussing here, I really think fleets need to learn to put the available data to work, to drive out those efficiencies and really drive to accomplishing automation. The reality of the matter is fleets sit on massive amounts of data, whether it's from the telematics to the ELDs, fuel management systems, maintenance systems, repair history logs, driver apps, so on and so on. But start small and target the biggest areas that you feel like you have wasted time, even wasted parts. But maybe more importantly, those areas that you may have some brand risks, such as misserviced or, God forbid, a headline incident that sometimes turns into those nuclear verdicts. Those are the big items to really take care of. But use the data to automate those repetitive, non-productive, yet required tasks. To really just basically remove the mundane human element out of the equation. As an example, the simple task of assigning a routine load to a healthy, available trailer sitting in your yard, to the most appropriate tractor that has the best MPG for that particular run, to a scheduled driver, this can all be automated, relieving today's dispatchers to really just focus on handling, the exceptions, the things they really have to make true decisions on. But the key message is really just start small and build that momentum, and you're going to grow from there. But you do have to start, and you have to be very, very deliberate to putting that data to use.
Yeah, and of course, the more that you're able to automate, the more you free up your people to focus on more high value tasks that they could be pursuing. Maybe it's customer service, maybe it's a dispatcher who's checking with the driver. Just higher value time spent rather than doing the grunt work and the routine. So it really does start to create some efficiencies and some opportunities there. Bob, what's your take on how fleets can deal with cost pressures that they're feeling today?
Yeah, really supporting a lot of the points that Lawrence is making. Uh, we look at this as really look to maximize what you have, whether it's equipment or personnel, right? There's a lot of doing more with less that we hear about. But if you look at kind of where dollars are leaking out of your organization from an operational or efficiency standpoint, there's when you start looking at different solutions, you can start seeing these things. So it's obviously the managing the big hitters like fuel and driver pay and shortages and things like that, along with insurance and compliance. Those are huge costs. And but if you look within your organization at how you can maximize these opportunities to save money, uh, and using kind of as Lawrence said, look for the big hitters. Proper selection of the technologies and implementations are really the key to getting some early momentum and success in this area.
Yeah. So at this point, I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into digital keys. Now, Bob, you mentioned this a bit earlier in the conversation, but uh, how can this technology improve operational efficiency? How can it prevent lost productivity? Of course, with physical keys, we talked about some of the possibilities, the things that can go wrong there. Of course, the potential is there that the driver could just drive away with the wrong vehicle, right? I mean, if you have these keys available and or something like a driver just taking the key home at the end of a shift and then leaving for vacation, and well, how we're going to get the key. Uh, Lawrence, again, back to your time at UPS, how can those types of scenarios increase costs and liability, and how can vehicle access control help prevent those types of scenarios?
Well, let's just be honest. I mean, current key handling, it wastes time and it creates frustrations for not only your drivers, but the dispatchers in the office, the service technicians that are on property, or anybody else that needs to gain access to those vehicles. Digital keys simply eliminate the lost keys, the mix ups, the back and forth trips that are unnecessary. And to your point, it really does force real accountability. So, I mean, let me make this real for you. Like today, the driver has to walk from the employee gate to the dispatch office, steps in there, talks to the dispatcher behind the desk who can't find the key from last night's driver, who's taken home or left somewhere. So she picks up a different key off the board, which apparently was really assigned for a different run later that night, and then gets the driver supposedly on his way. But he, of course, complains about, well, I don't really want that tractor. I want to have the newer tractor. Talks her into giving him the newer 2014 model. And but of course, that model was supposed to go out on a long run that night, for better miles per gallon. But he walks out to the tractor and realizes that another tractor is parked right in front of his, boxing him in because it was scheduled for later on the night. So now he's got to walk back in and get another key. But the story continues. But you get the point. But with digital keys, the driver gets a unique encrypted key right out of the gate directly to their phone. The assigned tractor is ready at the start. There's, again, no mix-up, no lost keys. They weren't taken home the night before and weren't left in the locker. And the driver can just walk straight from the guard shack to the vehicle. Again, no dispatcher delay, no chit-chat, no unnecessary walking in the bitter cold or the rain. And not only that, but the service technicians and other on-site personnel, like your fuelers, they can also have immediate access without any kind of wasted motion. Bottom line, it eliminates the waste of time. Lost, misplaced keys are gone, and to the end of the day, it ensures accountability. Who drove that vehicle on property? And if you had an incident with the vehicle, we know exactly precisely who was in it because there's only one key that accessed it. It wasn't shared.
There's a whole ripple effect of inefficiencies that can come about simply by a key being misplaced or physical key not being where it should be, and all the things that can happen as a result. But Bob, I would like to take a deeper dive now into Erdeto's Keystone system, right? So this is again, a digital access system that replaces physical keys. The idea, of course, is to give fleets better control over their operations, to reduce some of the costs and efficiencies, and also prevent safety risks. Just tell us how the system can accomplish that.
Yeah, sure. We get, but again, really building on what Lawrence had talked about here. We call using digital keys, driving accountability, getting the right driver in the right truck on the right route every time. So if you look at a larger operation, again, you want to always make sure that if you're optimizing routing and things like that, that if you've got a vehicle that is set up for flat, nice flat terrain where you're going to get better mileage versus something you need a little bit lower gears to, get over hills. All these things are really important to make sure that you have that routing right and you can enforce it. If you can't enforce it, it does you no good. So digital keys can help that. Certainly within like yard functions, whether it's technicians or fuelers, washers, third-party access. A lot of time is wasted looking for keys, especially if you have third parties coming into your yard to do servicing or things like that. If they don't have a key, they walk away. They charge you money for it, and you haven't had the service completed. So it's really a double hit there. So using the digital key concept again streamlines all that operation and really helps you reduce the cost. And and part of this thing is what we call the scan and go as well. So if the technician needs a key or a third party needs access, you can pre-authorize them to do that. They just simply scan the vehicle number with the mobile app, and it can grant them a key for a couple hours. That obviously has to be pre-authorized, but it's a very easy and streamlined way to control access in the yard.
Yeah, no, appreciate that overview of the system. And another dimension of this, of course, is what the drivers think about it, right? With any technology rollout, driver acceptance is a really important factor for success, especially in an industry like trucking, where driver turnover rates are sometimes through the roof, and keeping your drivers happy can really be a competitive advantage. So how do drivers respond to digital key technology? How does it affect their daily workflows? Lawrence, what's been your experience with this?
Well, the reality of the matter is, for all of us, there's always a little apprehension when we want to learn a little new technology. But from what I've seen in the industry, the drivers have really adopted quickly, and they actually love it once they experience the convenience of it. I've even heard drivers from other areas that have not received a keyless solution yet says, "Hey, when are we going to get that in our area?" It's like they're actively, aggressively looking to get that brought into their house, so to speak. The digital key, it really delivers so many side benefits that drivers would just notice every single day. Like I said, no wasted walking in the rain, no frustration for missing keys or their buddies took them home at night, no delays from being boxed in from another tractor. It's got quick access to the tractor. It accelerates the pre-trip. And when you have, like what Bob said, the features like scan and go, and you get an instant temporary key, it eliminates common everyday headaches for others who need to have access. Another key area that I think this is becoming exciting for is really in the rental market. I have talked to numerous people who lease out and rent out vehicles, and just the process of managing keys, getting the keys handed over to those who are renting the equipment, that is a lot of wasted effort. And I believe a solution like this is just a slam dunk fit for the rental industry.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm sure some of our viewers will be curious about the implementation of the Keystone system. And I understand there's different approaches. Can be a plug and play deployment or a deeper integration with the fleet's TMS. Bob, can you give us an overview of the implementation process as well as any hardware requirements?
Yeah, sure. We can start with the hardware. So we have a module that we've engineered that goes that's installed in the vehicle. It's all installed with easy plug and play harnessing. So it's no cut installation. It's all done with T harnessing. So we're able to get the signals that we need to operate our system on the tractor. We actually convert the tractor to a push button start, so that when the mobile app is in the vehicle with a valid assignment, then we enable the push button to start the vehicle. So we kind of take that the older technology and give it a little bit of a twist into newer technology. So it's fairly straightforward install, usually 30 minutes or less into the vehicle. When we look at the mobile app, so then there's that's the essence of what the user sees is the digital key in the mobile app. That we have our own app that's available that does all the controls for locking and unlocking the vehicle like a key fob does. As well as authorizing, once that mobile app is in the vehicle, it authorizes the system to start via the push button, and that can either be used standalone or we have an SDK that can be integrated into like another service, so it can be integrated with somebody with an existing mobile app, depending on the use cases. So this is one of those areas where we go from, real easy to do off the shelf, here it is, to if you want to do a little bit more work and streamline the workflows and things like that, it can be integrated. Same goes, we do have a cloud function as well. So this is a simple, easy to use portal that resides in our system that can be interfaced to via APIs from other systems. So this is where you can either create an individual assignment for a vehicle for a day or 2 or 3, to scheduling things out in advance. This can all be done through through tie-ins to other systems. We can do things like credential verification. So if we have a load that's a hazmat load, for instance, we can tie into other systems to ensure that you're qualified to haul that load versus guessing and then somebody that's getting into the wrong work stream. So we can again drive that accountability, and then the last point of this whole thing is, again, with the ease of implementation, it can be fully integrated or it can be standalone. So it can be so flexible that it's just you register your drivers in the truck and the cloud functions, you set up the scan and go thing, and the drivers at any given location can scan and take any vehicle if that's what the fleet wants. So it's set up to be very flexible, so it can be very open, very closed, however, whatever meets the needs. We also have a keypad that's installed on the exterior of the vehicle. So should a mobile phone go bad or get dropped or something, you can enter a PIN code that's valid for the driver for that assigned time, and then he can have access to the vehicle and it'll unlock and allow the vehicle to start. Also works great for third party vendors in the yard. You just want to tie into a work order for a repair that comes along with a vehicle number and a keypad assignment, and they enter 7 digits, they unlock the vehicle, and they can do what they have to do.
Got it. So plenty of opportunity here to meet customers where they are and and fit into those existing workflows and streamline them with the technology.
Exactly.
We've certainly covered a lot of ground here, but before we wrap up, I'd like to offer you both an opportunity here to share some parting thoughts. Lawrence, is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just like to kind of close with technology is advancing everywhere, and transportation sector is really no exception. Our industry is ripe for solutions that make our lives and our work easier and safer. With the growth of the data, physics-based AI, and of course the continued pressure to remove waste, it's just a big opportunity for us. And if I could just encourage all the fleets and transportation companies to start with the proven tools, whether it's automated dispatch, the safety cameras that are out there, tractor and trailer telematics, and of course digital key that Bob spoke of. But then begin to step into where advancing AI is really going to truly help out our situation with predictive maintenance, being able to predict a component failure and get us to data-driven maintenance as opposed to time and mileage based. But like I said before, you got to integrate those solutions in your daily workflow and your operations to make it work. And then at the end of the day, I think we should all be planning for autonomy, whether it's over the road trucking, yard moves, short on property runs. Autonomous trucking, it is coming. And I would encourage everybody to start thinking about how that could look in your operation. The bottom line, tech adoption is not optional. It's here. It's accelerating, and we could indeed make a difference in our industry if we take a stepwise approach and you're delivered. So thank you, Seth, for having me.
Of course, and great advice, and of course, great perspective. And certainly, I think you're right that a lot of this stuff is not going to be optional moving forward. If you want to compete, you have to stay up, keep up with changes in technology, and especially in a tough market like we're in now. Bob, I'll turn to you finally here, and you can have the last word. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close?
Yeah, I think so. First of all, thanks for having us here today. But I think for the most basic thing you can do is make sure any technology that you're adopting is safe and secure. Right, as we talked about, this is an optional. Technology is here. There is a lot of things that technology does to make our lives easier, both at home and work. But it has to be secure, and it has to drive accountability. The looking for return on investment, where you can save money, how you can do things easily is the second thing there, and really, like, the last thing is really start somewhere. It goes back to Lawrence's original point, I think, which is you got to start somewhere. Take action, take control of your fleet, and become more efficient.
Yeah, a whole world of opportunity out there for folks to improve their operations. Even the fleets that are already pretty efficient, there's always an opportunity to raise the bar. Gentlemen, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciated having you guys on. Thank you again, Lawrence and Bob, for joining the program and sharing your knowledge and insights. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.